We begin this evening with the announcement from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, that Jamaica's Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clarke, has been picked to become one of its deputy managing directors.
He is set to assume the post in October. We have team coverage this evening, beginning with Javon Keys.
Very excited that Dr. Nigel Clarke is going to join our senior management team as a deputy managing director.
The news broke late Monday morning, sending shockwaves across the country. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke will be off to the multinational lending agency, the International Monetary Fund (IMF), by the end of October. Kristalina Georgieva is the managing director of the IMF.
He brings hands-on experience as Minister of Finance in transforming an economy from a weaker to a much stronger position in which institutions and policies provide for a good performance and translate into jobs for the people of Jamaica.
Dr. Clarke will replace Anthony Saye as one of the 3 deputy managing directors. There is a first deputy managing director above that rank. Locally, he's been responsible for the nation's finances since 2018. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has described Dr. Clarke's pending appointment as a historic and important development.
No citizen of Jamaica, or the Caribbean for that matter, has ever before served at this level in the IMF. It is to the benefit of Jamaica and the Caribbean for one of our nationals to serve in such a consequential global position.
While congratulating Dr. Clarke, the parliamentary opposition had this reaction.
This development raises significant concerns about the future of Jamaica's economic management and leadership. Dr. Clarke's departure comes at a critical juncture for our country as we face serious economic challenges, including the spiraling cost of living and the negative growth impact of the recent hurricane.
The senior post pays more than $450,000 or upwards of 70 million Jamaican dollars per annum in comparison to his 24 million Jamaican dollar salary package as finance minister. The new role will see Clarke becoming a major voice at the fund.
He will have responsibilities towards the programs and engagements we have with our member states. He would speak on behalf of the fund and represent me in international fora. And he will have the important responsibility to bring, through his experience, the voice of small island states to us at the fund.
Javon Keys, TVJ News.
The International Monetary Fund is set to send a team to Kenya to work with the government in implementing governance reforms beginning 2025. The announcement was made by IMF Deputy Managing Director Nigel Clarke during his first visit to the country. Nigel, who held meetings with the President, the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and the Central Bank Governor, says the Kenyan authorities requested the institution's help in creating a governance diagnostics tool. On the recent criticism of IMF's engagement with Kenya, Nigel Clarke distanced the organization from internal taxation decisions. Jimmy Mbogo has more.
In an effort to set the record straight on their involvement with the Kenyan government, the International Monetary Fund distanced itself from the heightened taxation measures in the country. Speaking in Nairobi, the IMF Deputy Managing Director Nigel Clarke noted that the role of the institute is solely to offer advice based on economic environment. Nigel laid the responsibility squarely on the Kenyan authorities for their aggressive tax measures.
Specific revenue measures are not the design of the IMF. The specific revenue choices made are totally within the purview of the Kenyan government. The IMF is not involved in making specific decisions in relation to specific taxes here or there.
The IMF further noted that the decision to lower its disbursement to Kenya during the 7th and 8th review that was concluded in November was based on their assessment of Kenya's need at the time.
Given that the government was successful in its Eurobond issue earlier this year, the balance of payments needs declined. And as a result, due to the fact that the needs declined, the amount of the disbursement was commensurately reduced.
The IMF has also cautioned the government against taking on more loans, insisting that any new loans must be taken within the context of a comprehensive fiscal strategy designed to reduce the country's debt vulnerability and ensure its consistency with the country's long-term fiscal sustainability.
And given where things stand today, what that in turn implies is that Kenya's budgetary arrangements are not built upon a foundation of continually increasing levels of debt.
Although the IMF has agreed to undertake a governance diagnostic in Kenya, it warns that this will not be an end in itself and cannot resolve all the governance issues, but will only present a roadmap of reforms that can be incorporated in the country. The aggressive tax measures that have been implemented over the last couple of years have been blamed on IMF conditionality, but the International Monetary Fund now says it is not responsible for any of these taxes as they are particularly in the reach of the government. Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV, Nairobi.